Welcome to the Simplicity of Wellness podcast. I'm Amy White, holistic nutritionist, life coach, and weight loss specialist. If you're tired of overcomplicating food, battling your body, and starting over every Monday, you're in the right place. Here we talk about what actually works, simple shifts in food, mindset, and habits that lead to lasting change. Let's dive in. Welcome back, Simplifiers. If you're new here, I'm Amy White, a board-certified holistic nutritionist and life coach who specializes in women's wellness after 40. Today's episode is one I've been wanting to redo for a long time because it covers something that I use with every single client I work with, and it's foundational. If you've been around for a while, you might remember a version of this from a few years back. And if you do, I want you to listen again because how I think about this has evolved, and more importantly, I think it will land differently for you now. Here's what I want you to picture. You've been trying to figure out your health and body for a while, maybe years. You've done the plans, the programs, the cleanses, the trackers. Some of it worked for a minute, none of it stuck. Somewhere along the way, you started thinking the problem is you, that you don't have enough discipline, that you need to try harder, want it more, get more information. What if none of that is true? What if your body has always had exactly what it needs to move in the right direction, and what's been missing is just knowing which lever to pull? That's what today's episode is about, levers. The ones that actually change how you feel, how you look, and how much energy you have walking through your actual life. By the time we're done, you're going to have a completely different way of thinking about where to start and why most plans set you up to quit before you ever get any momentum. So let's talk about levers. I want you to think about your health and body like a mixing board. You know, the kind you see in a recording studio with all those sliders and knobs. Each one controls something different. And when you push them all at once, the sound is chaos. But when you adjust the right one at the right time, everything comes into balance. That's how I want you to think about the levers in your body. They're tools. You don't use all of them at once. You look at the list and you ask yourself one question. Which of these doesn't make me want to quit before I start? Which one feels like something I could actually do this week and do again next week without my stress levels going through the roof? When it comes to lasting change, it doesn't start with the lever that looks the most impressive. It starts with the one you'll actually pull. Consistency with something small will always beat intensity with something you can't sustain. There are three main buckets that you can focus on: food, movement, and self-care. And inside each bucket, there are specific levers you can adjust. Most programs hand you a list of everything you should be doing, and they tell you to start immediately. All the levers, all at once, which is exactly why you're exhausted before the end of week 2. This approach is different. One lever, maybe two, and you'll feel the difference faster than you think. Let me walk you through each bucket and tell you what the levers actually do for you when you start pulling them. The food bucket has several levers: protein, fiber, sugar, fat, water, electrolytes, and supplements. And I already know what most of you are going to do. You're going to look at that list and want to adjust all of it. More protein, less sugar, better fats, more water, all at the same time. That's the default. That's what every plan you've ever tried has asked you to do. And that's exactly why it feels so heavy by day 4. Pick one. And my recommendation is always the same: protein. Every time. Before anything else. Here's why. When you start increasing your protein, the food noise quiets down. That constant background chatter in your head about what you're going to eat next, what you can have, what you shouldn't have, whether you're hungry or just bored, it gets significantly quieter. Not because you're restricting, but because protein is the single most satiating macronutrient your body has access to, and most women are running way below where they need to be. When I say way below, I mean it. When I sit down with clients and we actually look at their numbers, most women are getting somewhere between 50 and 80 grams of protein a day. They think they eat enough. They eat chicken, they have Greek yogurt, but when we map it out, the gap is significant. Here's the practical piece. I want you to figure out what your ideal healthy adult body weight is. not the number you weighed in high school, your ideal healthy adult weight. The weight where you feel strong, capable, and like yourself. That number in grams is your daily protein target. If that number feels far from where you are right now, don't panic. You're not jumping there overnight. If you're at 70 grams, work your way toward 80, and then eventually to 90. You build up gradually and let each new level feel normal before you move to the next one. Here's what that actually looks like in your day. You stop reaching for cereal, the bagel, the muffin. You have eggs, chicken sausage, and sliced tomato instead. You let protein calm your appetite and crowd out the processed, high-sugar breakfast foods that have been keeping your blood sugar on a roller coaster. You stop feeling ravenous by 10 a.m. You stop needing something sweet after lunch. You get to 3 p.m. and realize you weren't thinking about food all afternoon. That's what pulling the protein lever does for you. The other food levers, sugar, fiber, fat, hydration, electrolytes, those are real. They matter. You will work with them too. But protein is your starting point. And here's how this actually builds over time. You start with protein. Get good at knowing where it comes from. Learn what a high-protein breakfast looks like, what a high-protein lunch looks like, what you can grab when you're busy and needing something fast. Let that become second nature before you touch anything else. Once protein feels simple, that's your signal. Pick one more lever. Maybe that's pulling back on sugar. Maybe it's looking at where refined carbs are sneaking into your day. You don't have to decide right now. Your body will start giving you information once protein is stable, and that information will point you toward what needs attention next. The bigger picture, and this is where it gets really interesting, is a full redistribution of your macronutrients. Protein up, refined carbs and sugars down, fat adjusted to support your goals. When those three are working together, your body has exactly the biological conditions it needs to do what you're asking it to do, whether that's fat loss, weight maintenance, or fueling more movement because you're building strength and need the energy to match. That's the full picture, but you don't start there. You start with protein. Now let's talk about bucket number 2, movement. And I want to be deliberate about the word I'm using here because there's a distinction I need you to understand. I said movement, not exercise. Exercise is a phase 2 lever for most of my clients. Movement is phase 1. Here's why this matters. When your body is out of balance, when your blood sugar is swinging, your hormones are dysregulated, your cravings are running the show, your body is already under stress. Adding a hard workout on top of that stress isn't helping your body find balance. For a lot of women, it's actually making things harder. You feel exhausted, your hunger goes up, your recovery is slow, and you end up feeling like exercise is supposed to be suffering. A body that's out of balance needs to calm down before it can build up. So phase 1 movement is walking. That's it. And before you tell me you already walk or that walking feels too easy, I want you to hear this. Walking reduces cortisol. It supports blood sugar regulation. It moves your lymphatic fluid. It calms your nervous system, and it builds the physical and metabolic foundation that makes everything you do later actually work. If you're currently doing nothing, walk to the mailbox. Seriously, walk down the street and come back. That counts. Small, consistent action moves the needle in a way that one big dramatic week never does. Now, if you're already exercising and you feel good doing it, I'm not telling you to stop. Keep going. The question I want you to ask is whether it's a plus or a minus right now. Is your energy up after workouts, or are you drained? Are you sleeping better, or are you wired and tired? Are your cravings calmer, or are you ravenous for the rest of the day after a workout? Your body will tell you. You just need to listen to what it's actually saying. The goal of phase 1 movement is to get your body to a place where exercise feels like something you want to do, not something you're forcing yourself to do. And that moment when it clicks and you actually feel like moving, that's one of my favorite things to hear from a client. Here's what it means when this happens. As you start pulling levers, your body begins making adjustments. Those adjustments bring your metabolic hormones back into balance, and that balance is what changes everything. When insulin is high and blood sugar is swinging, your body can't see or access stored energy. That body fat you can't stand? So it hoards everything coming in and keeps you tired so you don't burn off those calories by moving. That lethargy isn't laziness. It's your body doing exactly what it's designed to do when it thinks it needs to protect every calorie it's getting. When your blood sugar and insulin stabilize, something shifts. Your body finally recognizes that it has energy available, and it wants to burn that off rather than add to the stockpile. That's when movement stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like a release. Your body isn't being forced anymore, it's actually asking you to move. And from there, we build. The third bucket is self-care. And I want to be clear before I say anything else. This is not a bubble bath conversation. Self-care in this context means the things that keep your body's regulatory systems functioning the way they were supposed to function. The biggest lever in this bucket is sleep, by a significant margin. Here's what happens when you're not sleeping. Your hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin and leptin, go out of balance. Ghrelin, your hunger signal, goes way up. Leptin, your fullness signal, goes way down, which means you wake up hungry, you stay hungry, and your cravings for sugar and carbohydrates specifically are significantly higher. Not because you lack willpower, but because your biology is responding exactly the way it's designed to when you're sleep deprived. You cannot out-protein or out-walk poor sleep. It undermines every other lever you're trying to pull. If sleep is a struggle for you, I want you to know it's one of the most common things I hear from women in perimenopause and menopause. It's not a sign you're falling apart. It's a sign your biology is shifting. And it's something we address directly in coaching because it drives everything else. One of the most common reasons my clients wake up in the middle of the night is blood sugar. Not stress, not hormones, not their environment. Blood sugar dropping in the early hours of the morning and then their body sounding the alarm. Once we stabilize that, sleep often improves on its own. It's a great example of why food levers and self-care levers aren't separate conversations. They're the same conversation. What sleep looks like beyond blood sugar regulation is different for every woman. For some, it's about cortisol rhythm and what's happening in the house before bed. For some, targeted supplements make a real difference. And yes, I do work with supplements when it comes to sleep because sometimes the body needs that kind of support. For others, it's something structural we need to look at together. There's no blanket answer here, which is exactly why the one-size-fits-all advice you find online rarely works for you specifically. The other levers in this bucket are stress management and what I'd broadly call daily regulation, finding what actually calms your nervous system, not what you think should calm it, but what actually does. For some women, it's a walk outside. For some, it's 10 minutes of quiet before anyone else is awake. For some, it's a phone call with someone who makes them laugh. This is individual, but it matters more than most health plans ever acknowledge because a chronically stressed body is a body that's holding on, not letting go. And yes, it includes things like getting outside every day, getting daylight in the morning, managing screen time at night. These are not small things. Morning light triggers your cortisol rhythm in the way it's supposed to fire, which sets you up for energy during the day. It also starts the countdown on your melatonin production, which is what signals your body that sleep is coming later that night. Screen time in the evening disrupts that process, delaying melatonin and keeping your brain wired when it should be winding down. Cortisol and melatonin are on opposite ends of the same daily rhythm. When one is off, the other feels it. And both have a direct relationship with your ability to burn fat, maintain energy, and actually sleep through the night. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. You have levers, real biological levers that change how your body feels and functions. And if sustainable change is what you're after, trying to pull them all at once is one of the reasons you felt like you're starting over every few weeks. Start with one. If you don't know which one, start with protein. Figure out where you are right now. Use a free food tracker for a few days just to see the numbers. Then pick one meal and ask yourself, how do I increase the protein here? That's it. That's the start. Because here's what years of coaching women through this has taught me. The women who find their rhythm aren't the ones who went hardest in week 1. They're the ones who picked something small, made it feel normal, and then picked the next thing. Momentum doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency with something you can actually sustain. Pick one lever, pull it this week, notice how you feel. That noticing is the beginning of trusting your body again. All right, simplifiers, that's your lever framework. Food, movement, self-care. 3 buckets, multiple levers inside each one, and you only need to pull 1 or 2 at a time to start feeling a shift. If today's episode landed for you and you're ready to figure out which lever is the right one for where you are right now, I want to invite you to book a free 60-minute coaching session, because knowing what to do in theory is very different from knowing what to do in your specific life with your specific body and your specific schedule. The link is in the show notes. It's always called Transformation Starts Here. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.